folks! Welcome to the PolyChampions YouTube. We have a 2v2 replay review showcasing how to plan sanctuaries for Elyrion, why Explorer on Lakes map is risky, and how to recover if you time out and your turn is skipped. Let's watch the replay! Yeah, introduce yourselves.
I'm Chris. I'm the team leader of Team Kraken here on PolyChampions. I've been playing Polytopia for about 6.5 years, and I've been on the server for 2 of those years. In this game, which is a week 4 game in our pro season, I'm playing Yaddak.
And I am Wannyboy. I used to be the team co-leader for the same team, Kraken. I've also been in the server for about 2 years, and I've been playing Polytopia for 2.5 years, maybe. You might also know me from the Polymain Discord, where I'm a moderator. And I will be playing the Elyrion in the north.
All right. Without further ado, let's get this replay going. Here is the zoomed out map, so you can kind of see how this game's going to develop. As we can see, enemy Quetzali has quite a few villages on their side compared to my Yaddak, which is currently looking at 3 villages with a 4th one, unfortunately, on the water and not accessible by land. Otherwise, it looks like Cymanti and Elyrion have fairly even village density. And with that, let's get started.
So, as most people know, a standard Elyrion opening would use a poly push to quickly push forwards. However, when looking at the map here, we really wanted to get a unit to the southwest. And so that's why we didn't poly push for this one, and instead we made 2 units. We didn't send any units to the southeast, because that is where Chris has his capital, and we saw that there's no room for any villages in between the 2 of us.
Here's enemy Cymanti. This is played by Skrielder. We call him Scree. He is currently a team co-leader of Team Lightning on PolyChampions. This is Alien. Alien is a pro player for Team Lightning. This is a Lightning versus Kraken game. So because Wani is expanding towards the southeast, we decide to try to expand into the east for me, so that we aren't competing for space. Thus, we put a road down to the south, and we're looking to use that road twice in order to move both of the warriors.
We were also thinking of putting the road to the southeast originally, but we decided not to, because putting it this way gives us faster access to the middle of the map, which we want to control. So 2 very nice villages with some nice sanctuary spots, which will be useful later on.
Typical Cymanti opening so far, boosting the warrior, and Alien also finds villages. Here, I find 2 villages, and the typical opening with Yaddak is either a tier 1 technology that allows you to upgrade as many of your cities as possible. We see 4 fruit on the 2nd city, so we're thinking about organization here. But we want to see how many fish there are going to be on the 3rd city before we make a final decision.
Earlier, you said the way you moved the Yaddak was to move towards the middle of the map. It does not look like you're moving towards the middle of the map. It looks like you're moving away. Can you explain that?
By the middle, we meant more the center line of the map, because, of course, it wouldn't make sense for us to go to the exact middle of the map. It's more like we want to claim space that will go to us and not go to the opponents. So we want to move, in general, both of us want to move to the southwest.
So a key feature of lakes maps is, of course, there's either going to be a large lake in the middle, or 2 small lakes, or some combination thereof. Thus, we see water on both sides of this map. So in my mind, I'm thinking one of two things. Either there's two lakes, one in the northwest and one in the southeast, or there's one large lake that's going to cut through the middle of the map.
Yeah.
So in general, on lakes in a 2v2, expanding directly towards the center when there's likely to be a lake in the center means you're more likely to hit water right away. And because of this, we didn't want to take the risk of sending the second warrior towards what could potentially just be water. And also, the resource indicators of the fruit and the fish that we see tell us that there's more likely to be a village south-south than if we sent the warrior south and then west.
Although
Thank you.
the way the road is, if our warrior goes to the south and would find a nice open space, we still have the option of making a third warrior that we then send towards the center of the map because of how we place the roads. So yeah, again, we see a lot of water on this side, which means that we will probably have to go for fishing and sailing sometime in the future, but first we need to get our economy up.
Still very standard from both of them. And as we can see, all players in this game have found villages early on. So economies are going to be roughly equal for now. On my side, we get organization. This is because we move on to the village, and although there's 4 fish, the thing is we have 4 fruit on our second city, which means we can get a level 3 upgrade in the second city, in our capital, and a level 2 upgrade in the third city with organization, whereas fishing would only get us a level 3 upgrade in our third city. So we're just maximizing our economy with organization. We plan on getting fishing later, but for now, organization is going to be a little bit better. And there's another note here. Yaddak has 2 standard openings. One opening is buying organization pre-capture, or buying a tier 1 technology pre-capture of the second city, and the other one is not buying a technology, and instead choosing to upgrade your capital with roads. The second opening is primarily used when you're trying to get those roads down earlier to expand potentially a little bit more quickly. However, both openings are economically the same. So while the roads opening gives you a little bit more flexibility with what techs you want to buy because you aren't committing to buying like organization early on, we wanted the vision on the farms that we had, especially in capital, as well as it would help us decide whether or not we wanted to bonus restart. Every season game, each side has 1 bonus restart. And based on what we can see after buying organization, we decide not to use our bonus restart, which we could use up until the end of turn 3.
So as Elyrion, it's often a good idea to research forestry before capturing your second city, maybe also your third city. Normally, on other tribes, I would rather go for something like organization, but Elyrion has the unique property of being able to place sanctuaries, which give a lot of stars for an early game tech. So generally, you want to get your forestry up as soon as possible. Even if you are not making sanctuaries, you can still use the forestry to make lumber huts, which are a great resource.
This is all still very standard, and because of the fact that Alien has a whopping 7 fruit on her second city and 6 fruit in
Wow.
capital.
That's That's so much fruit. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's only one choice here, and that choice is organization. There's a unique opening here with Quetzali that we're going to see in just a moment. And this is taking an explorer. So the concept here is when you meet your ally as Quetzali, you can send them a peace treaty. When you send your ally a peace treaty and they haven't met you, upon accepting the peace treaty, the ally receives stars. So this is effectively Quetzali donating 5 stars to the allied Cymanti via this explorer. So that's why Quetzali, it's common for Quetzali to take an explorer on their second city if they know that they're land connected to their ally. We decide to move east with the warrior here because of the ruin vision that you get from Elyrion. Ellyrion's a common pick in 2v2s and 3v3s for this reason. We were hoping that this ruin would be not on a mountain or, not in the water, but because of the fact that it's on a mountain, it's actually going to be really troublesome for us to get. We had done a lot of planning this game economy-wise, because we knew we'd have to get on the water. We knew that we wouldn't be really interacting with our opponents until that point. So we planned out the economy, 4 or 5 turns ahead, and we realized that buying climbing was actually just not possible. It would delay us getting on the water by at least 1 turn. And to us, it was more valuable to go for fishing and sailing sooner rather than getting climbing, which wouldn't help us get on the water for a singular ruin.
Plus, we knew there was a second ruin as well, very close by. So we decided that the warrior would be better used to try to find the second ruin.
Exactly.
Here, just some more standard exploration. I don't think there's much else to note here.
Just a nice sanctuary spot in capital. Level 5, I
that's for
believe.
sure. Yeah, and generally, when you make a sanctuary, you want to start it off with at least 2 animals. If you can have one with 3 animals, that's absolutely amazing. You should always go for it. But a good thing is also to make sure that sanctuary spots are shared between different sanctuaries. And here, that's definitely the case, where we can have sanctuaries in multiple cities that use the same animals to generate stars.
So this is very interesting. Using the peace treaty stars from Quetzali, Cymanti was able to buy 3 technologies prior to capturing their second city: hunting, forestry, and organization. And this is important because Cymanti has just enough resources in their capital to get a centipede, which is going to become very important very soon. And now they're just getting their economy going with some upgrades. So here we're just using roads and the fruit to both upgrade capital and upgrade our second city at the same time.
Meanwhile, I'm just expanding a little bit more, upgrading my capital, making sure that my economy gets going.
And this is very nice. A very nice opening for Elyrion. 10 stars per turn on turn 5 is very nice.
So there's a centipede coming, you say?
Oh yeah. Scree chops a little bit and then uses the resources in his capital to get a centipede on turn 5.
Wow.
Which is quite fast.
Scree really likes to push out his early centipedes and use that to catch his enemy unaware.
Yes. And the monument gives him an extra eco boost.
Plus, also Scree is located quite far towards the center, which means that he was very likely to meet me early and to be able to eat me using that same centipede.
So aliens finding all these villages and continuing to take upgrades because there's a lot of time and space between when we're actually going to fight. On my end, I'm upgrading my capital for resources first to get those stars back, doing the same in my second city, and then getting the last upgrade in the third city.
I think you're about to make a small mistake. Yeah, so here
Oh, yeah.
we moved the warrior a tile too far because we had misjudged where the ruin was. So we actually lost a turn in finding the ruin because a simple step north would have already been enough to reveal it for him. So minor misplay.
Yes, the ruin was right on this tile, and all I need to do is go north. You could see the little flash of the Elyrion perspective there. And unfortunately, I thought it was one tile more to the northwest. So yeah, small misplay.
Here again, just improving the economy a bit. I decided that I did not want to wait for an animal to appear in a forest in my north city, so I made a lumber hut instead, because a lumber hut gives me quite a lot of money anyway, more than actually if there was an animal there. And the choice here was, do I want to go for a workshop or do I want to go for an explorer? Now, the problem with explorers, especially on lakes maps like this, is that oftentimes the lake edge gets very thin. And if there's a mountain on there and I don't have climbing, that means that my explorer would just be wasted. So I didn't want to risk it. That's why I went for economy instead.
So
what were
if
you just saying? What were you just saying about an explorer? Risky.
Yes, so as Wani just beautifully illustrated, Cymanti gets an explorer from the ruin here, and it just so happens that there's a mountain conveniently placed on that thin edge of the lake. So this explorer reveals basically nothing.
Good call, Wanny. Good call.
In the meantime, though, Spree is really getting his centipedes going with a second centipede already on turn 6.
Yeah.
So that's definitely not something I want to meet.
And it's getting boosted. Alien gets riding here, and this is primarily because our opponents have seen their city layout already using this explorer from Alien. And riding here, the idea is to eventually get roads, because they're looking at both the network monument, because they know they have enough cities to get it, as well as just expanding a little bit faster, and getting those stars per turn higher in a shorter period of time. On my end, we of course know where each other are. We're doing what's called screenshot merging, where we use Photoshop to put our screenshots together to see the relative positions of where we are. So we use that to meet each other on this turn, which is a crucial turn because we're looking at trying to get fishing and sailing.
Oh man, that other ruin is also on a mountain?
I was going to mention that, yes, the other ruin is also on a mountain. And what's really unfortunate here is because we don't have a third warrior, we have 0 incentive to go for climbing, because we would need to buy another warrior now, send it over. It would take another 2 turns to get to the ruin. And we're looking at this like 2 ruins on, turn 8 and turn 9 is kind of iffy when we're trying to get on the water faster. So
you're just gonna save those ruins for later.
Well, you'll see.
We were planning to. This is actually a quite important thing. Let's go back just a little bit.
Yeah.
So normally you would not want to buy sailing in this situation, simply because Chris can't make an explorer at the moment, and Chris also doesn't have anything, can't make a port. So there's no reason to buy sailing and lock down those stars. However, by doing so, he tips his points a score right over the 2000 mark, which means that I will get 7 stars from meeting him instead of 5 stars, which gives me a quite nice economical boost. So
Yes.
this is another case in which you do actually want to buy a tech prematurely, even though you can't use it.
I believe you get a star ruin here.
So this is a turn that we can spend a lot of stars on a lot of things. However, looking at the map, we don't immediately see something big we can do with it. We don't see any potential for immediately going for an egg. So I think in the end, we decide to go with fishing and sailing.
Yes.
And then make an explorer that can explore over the water, which we will do in the south. So let's see what it reveals.
Yeah, it sounds like your priority was to get on the water and get a navy.
Yes.
So
and
here we
reveals.
reveal something very scary, which is a boosted centipede and a monument, which means that there's another centipede somewhere around. At this point, we have no idea where it is. We think it might already be on the way to us, so we're getting a little bit careful with where exactly we're gonna put the Elyrion units. So yeah, because of that, we were thinking of going for early embassies here, and we decided not to, because going for early embassies would mean that we wouldn't be able to deal with the centipedes that were coming my way, because, well, we wouldn't have enough units to do that. So instead we went with a bit of economy.
And by a bit, he means a lot.
Well, I mean, with 33 stars, you can do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but we were feeling very happy with 20 stars per turn on turn 7.
Oh, definitely.
So now Scree gets climbing, and this is because he wants to both get that explorer and also be able to move over those mountains to attack. And now he sees the delicious Elyrion cities that the boosted centipede is moving towards.
Oh no, this looks terrifying.
You know, we didn't know it at the time, but it was about to get pretty terrifying. In the meantime, I'm getting on the water here. First port down, first boat, and we reveal shallow water, which is fantastic because we see those fish and we think there's another village for me. Because at this point, I'm feeling pretty sad on 3 cities. I'm not yet in last place in score, but I'm about to be, and it's going to stay that way for the entire game. So we were happy to see that.
Yeah. So again, we still think of going for the embassies.
Oh, is that why you took org?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, org, because on one hand we wanted embassies, on the other hand it's also just good for upgrading the cities, and also we were thinking that defenders might be quite useful because again we saw those as centipedes and we don't want to give them only units that they can kill in one hit. So we also put a warrior in the water here in the north with the idea of moving it forward so that we could see the centipedes coming. Sadly, that didn't turn out so well because he definitely found the centipedes.
Yeah, you're about to watch what's going to happen.
Did
that
that
poor
boat?
warrior.
Did that boat become centipede food? Oh yes.
Yeah, it did. And Scree immediately transitions into archery, which means we're going to have some flying bugs coming across the water to poison our poor boats.
And although a lot of people don't really like Phychi, they can be really, really nasty when attacking, especially warrior boats and warrior ships. This is scary.
It is quite scary. I believe that was population from the ruin. So for Alien, this is just going to be a massive economic turn. First giant out here, probably.
Yeah, definitely. And then some more economy on the side.
Yep. So it's starting to really snowball.
But hey, there's a village.
Yep.
We hope we can actually secure some stuff here, with Chris also getting in the water, getting some nice villages going, maybe going for custom houses. Although probably at this point we decided that we still want to go for embassies on both sides because that would probably give a slightly better economy.
Yeah, if our customs house spots had been a little bit better, I think we would have probably decided on my side to go for customs houses. However, I have 2 level 2 spots. The level 4 spot that I do have is blocked by a forest, and we're not going forestry. So in the end, we just decide to go for embassies first. And I'm just moving my units there.
So, well, here I'm now faced with a conundrum, which is a centipede that's about to get close to my city. I definitely don't want to leave a unit in that city because the centipede already has a segment. If there's a unit there, the centipede can move up, attack the units, and then get another segment, which would be very hard to deal with. So yeah, we want to move the warrior away and then plan how we can ever deal with the centipede. We were thinking of maybe catapults, maybe riders, but the riders are annoying with all the forests in the way. That would mean we also needed roads. So we decided to settle on archers, which will prove to be a very good decision on our part.
Yes.
Wait, I'm shocked. Shocked that Chris is using Archer. No, it's not Chris, it's Wanny. But still, I'm... Wait, let me find my shocked face.
Let's just say that here on Kraken, we really like archers.
They are absolutely amazing units in the right positions. And yes, it was a minor mistake because I had calculated exactly how to kill the centipede. But then I noticed that Scree also had forestry. Sorry, also had Phychi, which meant that the centipede would get defense bonus after eating my warrior. And then I couldn't kill him anymore. So I was forced to move forward this boat, turn it into a ship to just pre-damage the centipede enough so that we could actually kill him when my turn came again. Slightly costly mistake, but...
Can you... So
well,
you left the city open?
Yeah, with the idea that he would have to move his centipede onto the city and then attack my warrior so that he wouldn't be sieging... Well, so that he would be sieging with a segment. He can't capture, but he's still blocking my income, blocking use of the city for me. But then at the end, I noticed that he had defense bonus, which meant that the plan wouldn't work anymore because I wouldn't be able to kill the entire centipedes.
Yes, the shaman here had a defense bonus on the forest, which told us, and the Phychi as well, told us that Scree had archery.
Yeah.
So Scree explodes the segment here because the idea is when a centipede has a segment, it can only move 1 tile instead of 2. So exploding the segment allows the centipede to siege. And now
I think he didn't expect. I think he didn't expect us to be able to deal with it, especially with a second centipede coming after that.
Yeah. The onslaught begins. We'll put it that way. And here Alien has so much time to just develop economy, so hunting comes from Alien. And this is because yes. This is the turn. This is the turn. So you can go ahead here. Notice that when we pass the turn, it doesn't go to my turn.
Oh!
And Wanny,
no!
If you want to explain what happened here.
Did you get skipped?
Yes. So we had already timed once because the problem is that we live in 2 very different time zones. And we did try to really plan all our turns. So they took the opportunity when it presented it to them and they skipped Chris because, well, we hadn't put in an extension because we thought that just telling them like, hey, sorry, we will time soon will be enough, which wasn't the case. Oh, well.
Yes.
That's part of the game, I guess, but still. It felt
pretty
very annoying
bad.
because we were just about to get that entire naval dominance on Chris's side.
Yeah. So a bit disheartened, but we pushed on nonetheless to try to win this game. So
Yeah, just as we planned, we had the exact number of units we needed to kill the centipedes. However, I think here, I'm not sure what we do after this. Let's just watch the replay. Yeah, and I went with strategy to make sure that the second centipede, that we can start blocking off the north side, make sure the second centipede can't do too much. And again, as I said, we are both thinking of going towards embassies. So this is a right step in that direction. However, I completely forget to send an alliance request to Chris, which means that, which is a minor mistake.
Oh no! You forgot to send a peace treaty?
Yes.
Yeah, we were already friends out of the game, so we forgot to do it in the game.
I mean, we didn't think it was really necessary just yet, but yeah. Still, again, minor mistake. These things happen. Overall, we're holding on, which is the most important part.
Yes.
So yes, Phychi really start coming in here, really start taking the naval dominance. And at this point, we're a bit unsure how to complete the deal with all of them. Also because we don't have so much vision on the water at the moment.
Yeah.
There's a lot of places where they can hide from us. So this is a bit annoying.
And the other big thing about Phychi is that even if you can see them, they don't receive retaliation damage from defending units. So they can hit the same unit 3 or 4 times and kill it without taking any retaliation damage.
And the centipedes wisely, I guess, retreats.
Oh, wait, go back. The centipede ran away?
So the centipede, it ran away because it saw we had enough archers, enough polytars to kill it if it tried anything bold. Which, to be honest, we were a little bit sad about. We would have loved to kill the second centipede, but Scray saw the errors of his ways.
Yes, we were crossing our fingers this turn, hoping he would send in all of his Phychi to try to siege with the centipede. But yeah, it retreats. On alien side, of course, forestry. I mean, just look at these forests. It's like you can't ask for much better in terms of giant potential.
Also, and the Rhodes Monument. So alien is really popping off.
Yeah, it's going to get pretty crazy in the next couple turns. Alien is going to be in a really commanding position. And I remember after this turn and the turn afterwards, we started getting really worried because all of our scores were hovering around, like 2,000 to 3,000. And we're all like fairly neck and neck. I'm kind of behind. And Alien's score goes from being, middle of the pack, kind of, among us, to then being 2,000 score above Wanny, and that was like a wake-up call that we need to start picking up the pace here, because it's obvious that Alien is developing really, really quickly. And we meet Alien here. Wasn't necessarily unexpected, but the fact that there's water between my village and Alien tells me that both we can stay in the water and try to play for naval dominance, and that's going to be a good strategy here, and also tells us that Alien's villages are not placed directly on the shore in this area, which is important because having cities that you can use to put boats into the water is super key. And if Alien has less of those cities, it's more of an opportunity for us to try to take naval control, even though I'm behind economically.
Yeah, exactly. And so here we also, because of meeting Alien, we got the stars to get Chris diplomacy, which meant that he could give me the embassy, which also meant that I would have gotten 2 more stars next turn if I hadn't forgotten to send Chris the peace treaty, the last one. But
yeah. Now, we couldn't have accounted necessarily for meeting Alien on that turn specifically, but it was a small oversight. And here I'm just putting more units in the water. I can now train defenders, which are the most efficient unit you can use in a boat, having more health than the warrior. and get the first giant going.
So in general, pretty big economy turn for Chris. Well, it was also a turn with 2 turns worth of stars because he was skipped the previous one.
Yes. So this would have happened in some form last turn, but we actually wondered if me getting skipped meant that I met Alien at a more opportune time. Because what's interesting is Alien had not a lot of vision, but the riders and the warriors had already moved into that like little straight, into that little section of tiles. So had I been there one turn earlier, Alien would have gotten an easy kill on my boat quite quickly, and that might have influenced her decision making on that turn. So interesting tidbit about maybe the skip wasn't as bad as we thought.
So yeah, of course now our economy started going even further. The archers are really doing a lot of work at taking down the Phychi. In a straight-up duel, an archer one-shots a Phychi does not one-shot an archer. So both units cost 3 stars. At this point, I'm starting to get a bit of an advantage over Scree. Of course, we still have the Centipede in the north to worry about. But now we have defenders that can make sure the rest of the units is safe. Another interesting tidbit you might see here is that I don't have any archers standing on a tree with an animal on it. And that is because if he would poison an archer and then kill it, the archer would spread spores. Normally, I'm not too concerned about spores being spread, but if the spores spread over an animal, the animal itself gets removed, which would mean that the tree can no longer be used for my sanctuaries. So throughout the entire game from now on, I'm trying to make sure to never have archers standing on sanctuary trees in ways that would allow Scree to hinder my economy. Yeah. Another thing is also that the poisoned Polytar ship, we put it down there at the city, because if it would die there, it would mean that we could move some of our units onto the water, some archers or warriors, to be able to help fight against the Phychi. So we were actually planning on where do we want the algae to come.
Yes. And because we got diplomacy, we reveal the locations of all of the capitals on the map.
Yeah. Actually, with this, we could also check their capitals to see who has put an embassy in whose capital. I don't think they have any embassies just yet, which was surprising, because we were thinking that Alien would definitely make one in Scree's capital. Because as a Quetzali, she has access to very early embassies. But they decided not to and instead went for the big expansion.
Yeah. Another thing here is we need to train as many defenders as possible in the front lines to put into boats, because as Wani said, we want the algae to spread in places we can put units on, and also having these frontline defenders means that we can defend against the centipede at the same time as we have units that can take a lot of hits from Phychi and help us get better kills with our archers.
Yeah. So, yes, Scree again just continues with the relentless Phychi attacks, giving us the algae that we hope for. And Scree now makes an embassy in Quetzali's, in Alien's capital, which was something we noticed later. It was quite weird that it was this way around and not the other way around.
Yes. But this showcases the power of embassies, even though they went for it later. Both sides go for it because of the fact that it's such a big eco boost. And he also does this pre-capture of his 4th city. And Alien now has 30 stars per turn and is going to start pumping out a lot of giants.
Because remember, they just got forestry as well, so now it's really the time for them to... Oh boy. Just seeing all these giants again makes me nervous.
And that border growth, so many resources in it. Unfortunately, my boats are getting hit here. And that's 2 giants this turn.
Another
for Alien. And another one. 3 giants, so now Alien has 5 giants.
And again,
That's
last
still-
turn we saw the score increase. This turn, again, a massive boost. So we were getting worried.
I think it was 1,000. It was 2,000 the turn previous, and then now it's another 1,000 score. So yeah, just crazy stuff. And Alien was already in the little section of land on the southeast side. So I was a little bit confused by that, but I was happy that there weren't units on the water, because that meant that my boats could start advancing and exploring the lake in the middle, and potentially either help Wani fight Scree or assert naval dominance over Alien if she isn't in the water already.
So here,
And I believe we can
definitely
explore
watched
here.
Vision.
And oh my, there are the giants.
So yeah, at this point we saw that Alien did not have anything in the water just yet. But the moment she started getting stuff in the water, we knew we would be completely screwed, because there was no way we could deal with 4 giants at the same time. So yeah, we knew it was a race against the clock at this point.
Yeah, every turn would count, because I've got my 1 giant, my warrior boats, and that defender ship against that. So, and we couldn't kick Alien off the ruin either. So Alien's getting a ruin this turn too.
Which yeah, we had hoped to claim for ourselves because it was so close to Chris.
Yeah.
But we do get a second giant here.
Yeah. So giant in the back, it's eventually going to make it to where it needs to be.
Yeah, so we get some rider road action going, mainly to again move all the archers to the right positions to be able to kill the Phychi, and also to make sure that we can start upgrading the capital and make sure that all the cities are also getting ready. And because in south, at this point, we're thinking we might want a border growth to get a few more port spots that are not immediately in the range of the Phychi.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll make some good use of the algae here and start squashing mosquitoes.
Yep. Another important reason we're wanting to upgrade these cities is because, as you can see, all of them are getting pretty close to having their unit slots maxed out, which means we really need to upgrade them, or else we won't be able to produce any more archers very soon. Archers and defenders.
Yeah. Which is a problem that Elyrion often has, because they get economy without upgrading their cities.
Yeah.
Up there, I shot the Centipede to make sure that it lost its boost, which makes it a whole lot less scary.
Exactly.
So yeah, just units, other than that.
And Scree continues to push forward. I mean, 3 cities producing Phychi every single turn, and we still don't have as much vision as we would want. So we really have to get a few more units in the water before we can prevent this. Alien gets another population ruin. So
Which means more giants.
More giants.
Yep. And now fishing and sailing.
So she starts getting into the water, I believe. Does she have
Yeah.
forests she can chop? Yeah.
I believe it's going to be 1 port and a defender. So nothing yet, but yeah, no, there's 6 giants that are currently all either 1 turn away from getting in the water or 2 turns.
Oh.
And actually, we think this is one of the biggest mistakes they made. They put the defender in the boat instead of putting a giant in the boat. I think if they'd put the giant in the boat here, we would have had, well, the giant would have suffered some serious damage. But I don't think we would have been able to deal with the things that were coming after that. So this might have been an important turn.
Yeah. But from their perspective, this is still like, how are they going to stop this? How are they going to stop 6 giants?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I want to ask just a question, because I was taught that the first unit should probably not be a giant. You don't want to explore the water with a giant because the giant, right, can't see far in the fog, and there could be catapults, there could be archer, like you don't know. So traditionally, I was told you do not, your first unit in the water should not be a giant.
I do generally agree with that, and I think it might even have been a better choice to use a defender here. But they might have had better prospects if they had used a giant, especially because they have 6 giants at the moment. So an individual giant getting a bit beaten up is not as big of a deal for them as it would be for us because we only have 2 giants.
Right, they have giants to spare.
Yeah, exactly.
It isn't really that helpful for us, unfortunately, because we're still 1 population short of getting a giant in capital. So, and we don't really. Hunting is possible, but we're not sure if we want to spend those stars yet because we need to start getting battleships going.
And at this point, we were looking at the giants, looking at the ships, and really thinking, okay, what could Alien possibly do? We didn't think she had navigation yet, so we wanted to make sure she couldn't get too many giant battleships at the same time. But at this point, we decided that she will probably get 2 more giants in the water next turn. If she also gets a defender battleship next turn or the turn after that, we wouldn't be able to deal with it. So we decided to send everything we had there to make sure the defender boats got crippled as much as possible to not give her that option.
Yeah. So the idea here is we don't promote straight to battleships. We don't have enough stars. We're promoting to ships because they're both quite efficient damage-wise. And also, because of the way that Polytopia works now, there's a combat calculation you can run where you can tap and hold on a unit to see how the encounter will go with another unit. And you can use this to determine if a unit has vision on a tile that you are looking at. And so when we moved the warrior boat and did that, we noticed that there was no retaliation damage from the defender boat, which means that Alien doesn't have vision on those tiles, which means this is just a free 13 damage on the defender boat for us.
Yeah. So here we went with navigation because we wanted to start exploring. The biggest problem we had was that we just couldn't see where everything was. Also, one of the reasons we didn't try to explore before this was that exploring would risk making an algae bridge, which Scree could use to use other units than Phychi to cross the lake. However, at this point, we decided, okay, we have enough control, we have enough archers, we have enough units in the water. We can now, even if Scree started building an algae bridge, we can still punish him for it. So yeah, we decided it was time. Also, I would need navigation anyway to circumvent the algae. And we were thinking that Elyrion might help out Yaddak in the south a little bit. And for that, we would also need battleships.
Yep. So now Scree immediately recognizes that it's possible to make a land bridge here and moves the Centipede over to try to cross and gets riding for hexapods. So this is immediate tactical recognition because now the hexapod that he trained in the West City will eventually be able to move over and start crossing the land bridge if it forms. As for Alien, more giants.
No, more
many
giants. No.
Yeah,
So,
and
yeah.
2 giant ships.
But look,
An Alien,
they're limited by ports, right? How many ports does Quetzali have?
A maximum of 3.
So to me, that's like the rate limiting step. You know, Quetzali cannot put more units in boats than they have ports, right?
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So that's the thing we were hoping for, that we could limit them in that way. We were actually considering last turn to border grow Chris's South City to make sure that we could claim that 1 spot of water so that Alien couldn't border grow and claim it instead. But I think ultimately we decided against it because we didn't think Alien would have the stars to spend to go for a border growth. And as you see, she went for another giant instead, which to be honest, might have been a quite good choice. So yeah, now have to deal with 2 different giant ships, both of which could turn into a battleship next turn. Coupled with more giants coming in the water, so this was a really the scary turn.
So here, the movement had to be very precise. We want all of our ships to both have like optimal damage trades. So we know that the area in the northwest, those shallow water tiles closer to Wanny and closer to Scree, are tiles that Alien does not have vision on. So we can use that to get damage on the giant ships without taking retaliation damage. And we also just had to do precise damage calculations to make sure that we damaged the giant ships as much as possible, even if we couldn't kill them immediately.
And I think that's a very important thing here. We decided not to kill one of them. We decided to spread the damage out, because that way Alien would have 2 half-health giant ships. If they turned into a battleship, it would be expensive for her, while also not doing a lot of damage. If instead we had decided to kill one of the 2, then the other one would have been able to become a battleship, which would have put us in a lot more trouble.
Exactly.
And so, yeah,
as you can see, that last hit didn't have any retaliation. And we are continuing to put more units into the water because we know that this is not the end of what we're going to have to deal with.
So yeah, here we decided it was time that Elyrion started helping Yaddak. So we made a port down there, because Elyrion has a lot of stars. Elyrion also has navigation at the moment. So that would mean that we could just put in 1 extra battleship in the fight to make sure that we really denied Alien the access to the water.
So, do you have any eggs yet?
No.
Although I think the first one's coming right now.
Yeah, that might be the case. Yeah, because again, we went straight for economy with Elyrion and not for city growth. We didn't have the time or the funds to start investing in getting big cities. We just had to make sure that we survived against Kree. And Elyrion, well, in this case, we didn't feel like we really needed the dragons straight away, because the dragons would definitely be great in this matchup, but it would take quite a while to get them going. Whereas we felt like we could get the dominance if we played very quickly, very aggressively at this point. So that's why we didn't go for eggs earlier.
I think we needed the gate of power this turn in order to get the egg. So that was the other limiting factor.
Yeah, that's true. We didn't have it before. And I think other than that, we just continue to pull the Cymanti units, trying to, just killing all the Phychi. And again, we put the ship in a place where we think it might be all right if we get poisoned and turned into algae on that spot, because over there we can put an archer in the middle of the water to start shooting at Phychi.
Yes, and there's no potential for a land bridge to form just yet.
And Scree, of course, goes straight for the kill with still way too many Phychi.
And that Centipede is still lurking. Alien now gets navigation, and this is when the giant battleships are about to hit the water. So notice Alien only put 1 giant into the water this turn, and that's because if she put the other one into the water, the best she could do is turn it into a ship. So she decides to leave it out of the water until she can turn it into a giant battleship, which I think, in hindsight, we didn't have enough to kill all of these units. I think the best we do this turn is killing 2 of them and then weakening the 3rd one. So if Alien had decided to put the ship into the water, it would have been fine. But they didn't know how many units we had in the water at this point. So they went with the safer option, which is putting only 1 giant into the water and turning it into a battleship. And the other thing that she did that's really notable here is move the giant east onto that tile, and that's for zone of control to prevent us from using those tiles very effectively. We would risk getting hit by the land units if we tried to use those tiles. And we knew that Alien had riding at this point, so we knew that it would be a bad idea to put our units close to land or next to land tiles because they would just be hit by a lot of things.
But yeah, especially a giant hitting a ship is painful.
Yeah, pretty devastating.
So yeah, we just start wailing away.
Yes.
I think we
This was all calculated using Polycalculator.
PolyChampions is brought to you by Polycalculator. Polycalculator for all your battle needs. Not sure whether your opponent will be able to kill you, whether you kill your opponent? Check the Polycalculator and never question again.
I think we managed to get both of those killed.
Yeah, I think we kill the giant battleship, or no. I think we kill the ship. We weaken the giant battleship a lot, and we basically leave her with a crippled navy that turn. So a 13 health giant battleship is very weak. It can't really hit for much damage, and it has to move in order for her to put another giant in the water. So we know that it's probably going to die in the next couple turns.
Actually, I think it will die because we still have Illyrion's boat in the water. So
Oh, yes, you're right.
So Elyrion just continues with the fight, and there we go, battleship down. So
Yes.
at this point, I think we can say that we managed to get the naval dominance on both sides. We keep wailing away at them on both ends, but it's going quite well for us.
Yeah. So at this point, we feel like it's still concerning because Alien could put 3 giants in the water and we don't know how many stars she has. It turns out she's exactly 1 star short of 3 giant battleships. But we did the calculations, and if she put 3 in the water, it would be challenging, but we thought we could still handle it. So yeah, we felt pretty confident. We were worried about a land bridge though, because we knew now that Gree had technologies to cross land bridges with hexapods and a centipede. But we also had a lot of units built up. Elyrion is very good at getting a lot of units. You can use sanctuaries to basically regenerate polytars over a period of time if you want to. So we had the option to make a lot of land units very quickly if we needed to, that are very cheap and that do a lot of damage.
So yeah, we just continue now making sure that the Phychi that are near Yaddak would get killed, so that they couldn't go to the south and help out. That's why we left the other one alive for now.
And Wani took a border growth here because it was required to get the second egg. Scree here now has to kind of play a little bit of defense. And spiritualism. So we actually didn't know that he went spiritualism, but I think his plan...
How often do you see spiritualism in a pro game?
So they had a very interesting idea. Now, the ending of this game is a bit anticlimactic, but the idea here for Scree is land defense, playing a lot of land defense, and preventing us from sieging cities because he has 0 coastal cities. Notice that none of his cities border the water. So except for the one in the south, which can't do anything. So for him, for us, it would take a lot of resources to land units on his borders. So his idea is to play land defense from here on out and prevent us from making progress. He takes a border growth in this city. This is just going to allow more population and more control over that area.
Yeah,
He can now build
because
algae.
Exactly. Yeah.
And continuing to spam Phychi.
So yeah, Alien started putting stuff in the water, which again, quite concerning. I think we will have to end it here. So at this point, we had still planned to kill one of the battleships and damage the other ones severely, I believe. However, it was a long turn to plan because we needed to make sure that Alien wouldn't have a chance to come back from it. If we would be able to kill Alien this turn, then it would have been done. However, we were taking our sweet time for this turn, and we were also missing each other. So Chris was close to timing, and at that point, I decided, okay, we still have an extension left. Let's ping them using the bot. Let's make sure that we use the extension to then go on to win the game. Sadly, the bot decided this was the perfect time to bug out. So the ping never went through. I tried to DM it to Scree, but sadly he did not see the DM. He just went ahead and skipped. Sorry, not skipped. He kicked Chris from the game. So at that point, we were like, well, what's going on now? We tried to use extension. We couldn't do it because of a bug. So I think it ended up going we took screenshots of the entire game. We sent it to a panel, and a panel decided who would win after this.
Yes. Now, I was privy to see those messages, though I was not allowed to vote, obviously, because I was playing. And in the end, the panelists ruled in our favor. They agreed that it was a very close game. But because of the fact that we had naval control, and because of the fact that we can continue pushing here, eliminating aliens, giants, and effectively leveling the playing field, while also having the potential for late game income with customs houses, the panelists, which are made up of pro players and prominent players on various teams in the league, ruled in our favor, and Kraken won this game.
I think we had some custom house potential on Chris's sides, which meant that we would be able to get a very good economy, even though Alien had a lot more villages than Chris did. The custom houses would have made sure that we got about the same number of the same economy. Also, because Chris still had the option to border grow in the South City to get a few more good custom house spots. Also, I think our plan then was to get dragons up, use the dragons to really put a dent in everything they had on the shore. Meanwhile, we could start attacking using either cloaks or maybe knights, while at the same time using the battleships that we had to make sure that they could in no way advance on us. So it would have been a long, slow battle, but I think we are both confident that we would have won in the end. And, well, yes, we're happy that the panelists agreed with us.
Exactly. Scree disagreed with the ruling. He shared ideas that he believed that his side could defend from what we had because of the fact that his cities were landlocked, which meant that it would be very hard for us to push. And he had ideas of basically using spiritualism to generate a lot of centipedes with mathematics, getting very, very high level sawmill spots. Although we still are confident that we could have closed out this game from this position in 10 to 15 more turns.
All right. Thanks very much for going through it with me. Is there any other key takeaways?
This was a game of, it doesn't look like it. There's only a little bit of quote unquote teamwork here, which is that team up on the kill with the giant battleship. But the amount of planning here that went into this game was pretty substantial. And it was what allowed us to have these precise calculations to kill those ships and actually beat the clock. To us, this game was almost like a level in a video game where you're doing parkour and climbing walls and jumping over things to reach a goal before the end, before the time runs out. And even though they kicked us, it felt like we had reached the end of the level with 0.1 seconds left, in a sense.
Yeah, because just one more turn, an alien would have been able to get all the giants safely into the water. And at that point, it would have probably been game over.
All right. Well, this was very helpful, interesting, educational, amusing. Thanks so much for going through it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us and for giving us the opportunity to talk about this game.
It was definitely one of the more fun games that I ever played. So yeah. What else can we say? Please join PolyChamps. Choose a team, preferably Kraken. And
I agree.
Nope, I'm editing that out.
Some
Boo! Boo! No Kraken promotion. Boo! No, I'm kidding. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, it helps us a lot. For more Polytopia games with skilled players and expert commentary, click the links in the description. Join our Discord server, get on a PolyChampions team. The link to the Discord is also in the description. Take care, see you on the next one.